Yeah, Jim.
Jay, I'm sure you've noticed this, the Iranians seem to be calling into question the way the White House has characterized the interim nuclear deal. In an interview with CNN, the foreign minister said, quote, "The White House tries to portray it as basically a dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. That is the word they use time and again, referring to the word dismantle or dismantling." We've gone through the records, and it looks like the White House has only used that word a couple of times, but I'm just curious, what is your response to that? Are they trying to play to a domestic political audience? What do you think is going on?
Oh, you answered for me. We've said before that we expected the Iranian government to spin the commitments they made under the Joint Plan of Action for their domestic political purposes. We saw that in November, we saw that earlier this month, and clearly we're seeing it again. When it comes to the commitments Iran has made as part of the Joint Plan of Action and the implementation of it, we've always been clear that the first step will halt progress on Iran's nuclear program and roll it back in key respects, stopping the advance of the program for the first time in nearly a decade, and introducing unprecedented transparency into Iran's nuclear activities while we negotiate a long-term comprehensive solution. Now, we have also been clear that as part of that comprehensive agreement, should it be reached, Iran will be required to agree to strict limits and constraints on all aspects of its nuclear program, to include the dismantlement of significant portions of its nuclear infrastructure in order to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon in the future. So I think the dismantlement aspect of this has to do with a comprehensive solution. The agreements that Iran made as part of the Joint Plan of Action, the initial agreement with the P5+1, have been clearly spelled out. And how Iranian officials want to characterize it, I think, has to be viewed through the prism of the audience they're speaking to. What matters to us and to our partners in the P5+1, and I think to the broader international community, is what Iran actually does, and whether or not it adheres to the commitments it makes. And there is a level of transparency and verifiability in this agreement that will allow the P5+1 and the IAEA to make assessments about compliance. And as you know, the modest changes to sanctions and that have been made as part of this agreement are work like a spigot. They don't all come at once. That any violation or failure to comply by Iran could be met by a reversal of those changes. So this is all about what they do, not what they say. And it is absolutely the right thing to do to test whether or not Iran is serious about coming into compliance with its international obligations, providing in a verifiable, transparent way proof that they are not pursuing a nuclear weapon, because that is in the world's benefit and in Iran's benefit, in our view.
And Jay, just to go further with that, though, the foreign minister does say in the interview, we are not dismantling any centrifuges, we are not dismantling any equipment. President Rouhani said in a separate interview, we are not going to destroy any centrifuges.
Well, again,
are they going rogue on this deal?
Jim, I know it's a CNN interview, and I know that's part of this, but again, what they say about...
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying...
What does that mean?
I think we've answered repeatedly that how Iranian officials characterize this for a domestic audience, it matters far less to us than what they're actually doing. And the fact is, the IAEA on Monday verified in a written report and subsequent briefing for P5+1 technical experts that Iran has, among other things, stopped producing 20% enriched uranium, has disabled the configuration of the centrifuge cascades Iran has been using to produce it, and has begun diluting its existing stockpile of 20% enriched uranium. In addition, it has not installed additional centrifuges at Natanz or Fordow. That's all in compliance with the clearly spelled out requirements of the agreement. So we take what the IAEA says and assesses and verifies as our guide to whether or not Iran is doing what it said it would do.